Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Creating Success from the Inside Out with your host, me, Ephraim Taylor. Now, you're probably wondering, saying, hey, that guy looks familiar, or who is this new guy that's popping up on my TV? Well, first, let me tell you a little bit about myself. Now, for some of you that kind of recognize, you may have seen me on ABC's 2020 or being interviewed on The Big Idea with Donnie Deutsch, or my photo in some newspaper or massive media publications all across the country. But you know, the reason is because, for me as an entrepreneur, I got started at a very, very young age. Almost like a lot of the biblical characters that you read about in Bible story after Bible story, we all find that many of the people that go through life and overcome adversity and go on to do some great things all started out at a very young age. And the same is for me. And that's why I'm here hosting this show today, because I want to help you to be able to navigate that same journey and be able to make a dynamic change, not only in your life, your family's life, and the community as well, and ultimately for the kingdom of God. Now, my name is Ephraim Taylor, and I'm happily hosting this show, but, for those that haven't met me yet, allow me to introduce myself. I started my first company at the age of 12, designing three-dimensional video games because my family had, as we would say, a little bit of an economic challenge, and they really weren't too fond of buying video games that cost $49 or $50 at the time. As a matter of fact, my parents really didn't even allow me to have shoes that cost over $50. Now imagine that, a little young kid going to school, and he couldn't even have those latest name brand shoes, so kids kind of picked on me. But I really had this first love of playing video games, and ultimately one day as I was asking my mother to buy me a new video game, she posed a very challenging question to me that helped develop my mindset as I went on later throughout my life. And that question was, Ephraim, instead of asking me for a video game, why don't you figure out how to make your own? And ladies and gentlemen, that's what I want to talk about today, is figuring out how to take control over your life and begin to create things for yourself, your family, the community, and God's kingdom. And so by building that three-dimensional video game, I made it and started changing it over and selling it to my friends at school. And one sale became another sale, and lo and behold, I was an entrepreneur. Now, you're probably asking yourself, well, that sounds pretty good. You got on the computer, you made this video game, but how does that relate to me? Well, let me tell you another story. You see, by the age of 16, one of the first things that parents tell their children to do is to get a job. Now, you're probably sitting there wondering, well, hey, that sounds like something I need right now. Can you help me do that? Well, maybe yes, later on in the show, but I realized that I can't go out and just get a job. I'm 16 years old. I'm restricted every day to being in this high school class. What could I do? So I started my own company helping other people to find employment. I grew that company in high school to $3.4 million, making me a millionaire in high school. I later went on from there to end up taking two companies public on the stock market. And so I became very successful at a very young age. And now you're looking at me on your television screen wondering, how can this information help you? Well, I want to take my life experiences and show you on this show of Creating Success from the Inside Out on not only how you can take what's going on in your life and this entire situation that's going on, but really empower yourself, your family, and the community at the same time. Now, let's take a look at what's going on in the economy today. Unless you've been hiding in a cave, things aren't looking too good. Banks are faltering, fuel is at an all-time high, food costs are even escalating, and jobs are being outsourced overseas, and people are losing their jobs. You may be sitting there wondering, saying, yes, I've lost my jobs. How am I going to make ends meet? And how am I going to survive day to day? The stock market has collapsed. Marriages, because of the financial strain, are being hit. And, our nest eggs, the retirement, have basically been cracked. And so for many of us, we're asking ourselves, it's like, how can I become wealthy in the midst of all this? Well, ladies and gentlemen, on this show, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about not only what it takes to become successful, we're going to talk about what it is to become wealthy and be able to make a difference. But in order before we get deep down into it and figure out exactly, how we become wealthy, we first have to have a fundamental understanding of exactly what in the world is true wealth. You see, I define wealth as the measure of one's ability to generate income without direct involvement. Now, there's a thought. You have to ask yourself a question. By that definition of, can I generate income without being directly involved? Well, if you have a job, probably not. If you're working for somebody else, probably not. So you have to do a reality check. Ask yourself this question. Is by that definition, are you wealthy? And if you can say no, then you have to ask yourself a second question. Who are you making wealthy? Who are you creating wealth for? If you yourself aren't wealthy, if you're working a job or career for somebody else and you haven't gotten financially where you want to be, if you're finding yourself strapped with debt and financial situations that are going on, well, chances are you're making somebody else wealthy. When you're making payments out of your household, somebody else is becoming wealthy. And ladies and gentlemen, on this show today, I want to help you discover that path of what it means to become successful and wealthy and how to do it according to God's principles. And I believe there's 4 ways to become wealthy. The first is through business ownership. You know, there's no wealth being created in jobbership. If you look at the wealthiest individuals here in America and across the world, all of them own their own business. The second is that if you want to retire and have a sustainable retirement where you're not looking over your shoulder, wondering how you're going to make ends meet, take care of your health care, and be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor, you're going to have to do some smart retirement planning. Now, once you have your own business and you start doing smart retirement planning and you start having financial success, the third thing that you have to do is that you just can't keep it all to yourself. You're going to have to begin to start sowing seeds and serving out your socially conscious purpose through stewardship. That's living out the purpose that God is giving you in your life through stewardship. And then the fourth thing is that you can't do it all alone. You're going to have to find a mentor, somebody who has become successful, somebody who has been there and done that, as they say, somebody who can open up doors for you. And I would like to be that mentor. You know, having a mentor will show you the paths and he will show you the right ways to be able to do things and leverage those networks and experiences so you can tie all those things together and begin to bring wealth into your life. And in our next segment, when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about how wealth doesn't work so that you have a better grasping and understanding on not only how it doesn't work, but also how it works and things that you can put into your life to be able to make it happen. And also, as one of the exciting things, the thing that has me so excited today, you probably can see it in my face of why I'm so excited is because, you know what? I'm going to give some things to you. Yes, that's right. I'm going to be giving something to you. Not only by the end of the show, you're going to have an opportunity to get a free copy of this book. You're also going to get a number of other bonuses that I'm going to give you. I call it reverse sow seeding. I'm going to sow a seed into your life, and this information and knowledge that I'm going to transfer into you, you'll be able to take it and apply it to create success and wealth, not only for yourself, your family, the community, and ultimately God's kingdom. So stay tuned. Don't move. Get a pen, get a piece of paper, and take lots of notes because we're going to get down into the details of how this stuff works and what you can do right now in this economy to be able to build wealth. And you're watching Creating Success from the Inside Out with Ephraim Taylor. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.